Okay, Second John. Remember, ironically, my Christian name is John, but I'm actually Christ. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that they wanted me to pretend and play their stupid little game and pretend that they magically are this, that, and the other thing, and that I'm just little me. Okay, they're sick. They have that slave master complex where they want to pretend that they're the masters of the universe, manifest destiny, the chosen people, all this. Okay, but I'll give you an example real quickly before I get into Second John. It's a short chapter. It's only like 13 verses. I'll give you an example. A female walks into a bar. She sees a guy that she likes. She starts talking to him. Okay? They start relating. They're having a swell time. A Jew and a white supremacist walk into the bar, and the Jew says to the female, "Hey, I'm chosen. Come with me. Forget that guy." She says, "No. What the hell? That's rude. That's sick. Just go away." The white supremacist says, "Well, I'm from the master race. I'm white like you." And that guy will say Hispanic. And she says, "No, ew, that's sick. That's wrong. There's no place for that in a decent society. Go." Who's right? And to what degree? Second John. Also keep in mind that everyone there is outside the divine order. It could be somebody from any race, not just a Hispanic or a Jew or a white person. Arguments without righteousness to back it up and mere books given to you by your oppressor mean nothing. The elder to the lady chosen by God and to her children, whom I love in truth, and not I only, but also all who know the truth. Because of the truth which lives in us and will be with us forever, grace, mercy, and peace from God, the Father, and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love. And from Jesus Christ, okay. The Father's Son will be with us in truth and love. So it says grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ. The Father's Son will be with us in truth and love. In truth and in divine love, morally precise love. A love that goes beyond Romeo and Juliet, and willing to die on the drop of a hat for God and for the righteous. It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I'm not writing you a new command, but one we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that you walk in love. Okay, so it says that you walk in obedience. And I can't stress this enough, because there's a bunch of mockers and scoffers out there who would say stupid things like, "Isn't that convenient? They should obey you." What does it mean to obey me? It means to honor the righteousness from God that made me the top martial artist, that is a testimony from God that I'm his son. Everything that I would ask is righteous. So to obey me is to obey God in righteousness. But you can't just say, "Well, we're just going to obey God without you." No, because God put me here to lead. Read Psalm 2. Why do the nations plot in vain? I have chosen my top martial artist. I have chosen my anointed one. I have anointed my representative. He said, this is the king. If we're all equal, why does Proverbs 16:10 says a divine verdict is on the lips of a king? Why does Proverbs 16:12 says a throne is established in righteousness and justice? Why was David the king and not all the Jews? So it is obeying the divine structure given to us by God and not the white man's theater arts. I can't say that enough, because there are 380,000 churches in this country that in their own way say it again and again, even churches from other races. They secretly take orders from the white power structure. If you have a Black Baptist church or an Orthodox church, okay, who founded it? White people. Who are the shot callers in those churches? The white people. The whites, Jews, and LGBT community. So I can't stress enough that they've set up false orders, and I have to say it that way. I have to say that their orders are not divine. And if it was black people doing it, same thing, regardless of who's doing it. If people who used to be angels Let's say if angels existed as they describe them in the Bible, and they have wings and they land with a halo over their head, and then they fall out of grace and create a false order, I would call them out too. So again, and this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands, as you have heard from the beginning. His command is that you walk in love. Obi, oba, and obey, wordplay. Okay, now this doesn't refer to the literal name of a man. This refers to the position. It refers to a title. Obi meaning king, heart, hut, essence, center, core. The center, the core, the king, the anointed, the Christos, the heart. The center, the king is supposed to be the center of a people's spirit as a representative and gate of God, where God's verdict comes through him and it goes to the people. No kings on earth are doing that. Only I am. And they couldn't possibly do it because they're cheating me out of my right to lead. I'm the king of kings. That's what it means to be the king of kings, the top martial artist ever. Kings all have a sword. The top martial artist ever is the king of kings. It's pretty much that simple. Also, the true definition of love, that love must be in the Royal African Falcon Top Martial Arts Order, which cannot be reformed after my flesh dies. Not theater arts, propaganda, psychology, especially not the Western-based cultural confusion that is like poison yeast in the world, and worse than that. Again, no offense to whites, Jews, or LGBT people, but I speak the truth. I've said it many times now, I believe. You're more than welcome to give up your cultures and your philosophies and obey God through me. Okay? It is what it is. Better one white person that obeys God through me than all the other races put together if they do not obey God through me. Don't take me out of context, or else the punishment increases. Key part, if they do not obey God through me. 7. I say this because many deceivers who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh have gone out into the world. Any such person is the deceiver and the Antichrist. Something similar to the story without impossible so-called miracles happened almost certainly in Africa or by an African in the Middle East. I do not believe anything like that happened in the Roman Empire. One need only to believe that the generational righteousness and the morally precise in the Royal African Falcon Top Martial Arts Order passed to me, and this is the end. Right? You don't need to believe that there was an African Christ in Africa or a Semitic Christ in the Roman Empire, in Judea, Jerusalem, what have you. Okay, Bethlehem, Nazareth. You don't need to believe that. That was there for you to obey God and to identify righteousness. You know them by their works, their fruits, and to obey the highest point of it. As long as it's a valid point, there will be no valid points after I'm gone. That's why the story's here. That's why the character, if he actually died in reality, is to get you to believe in God and to do what it takes to obey God, to obey righteousness. For example, if you lived during King David's time and you did not know much about Moses, you didn't know much about Abraham in the story, and you obeyed King David, you would still go to heaven as long as you were righteous and you did the right thing. You don't need to know the story. All right, where was I here? Well, this is the end. God would not expect people to believe colonists who offer no proof and have been raping, killing, robbing, and coercing behind the scenes on a planet where there are many so-called rising and dying gods. This is why I will give the white man some credit here, where I do think there's some respect to be given for the fact that they told a certain degree of truth in history. They didn't deny that there was natives here before, and they didn't torture people for speaking on it. Okay? They told the truth to a certain degree, and in that there's something to be said about that. Okay, so I do appreciate the truths that they have told. All right, where was I here? I'm a really nice guy. All right. All right. Watch out that you do not lose what you have worked for, but that you may be rewarded fully. Anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teaching of Christ does not have God. Whoever continues in the teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not take them into your house or welcome them. Okay, so he's saying, if they're not teaching you about Christ, about the anointed, what it means to be anointed, Proverbs 16:12, ladies and gentlemen. Proverbs 16:12. says the throne is established through righteousness. New Living Translation, justice. How could it be any other way? I've been saying this my whole life in my own way before I zoomed in on Proverbs. I didn't know much about Proverbs, even in my 20s, if I remember correctly. Okay? But I knew that you had to judge someone by the content of their character, from Martin Luther King. I knew things from Bob Marley's songs. I knew things from watching the movie The Greatest Story Ever Told. I knew that the message of Christ was to be a good person. I knew that divine judgment was going to come and you want to do the right thing. Even when you hear Santa Claus, right? Obviously Santa Claus is some kind of myth and pagan culture and so on and so forth. But they say be good for goodness sake. I knew that that's the truth. Don't be good because it's going to get you into heaven. Be good for goodness sake. Be good because it's the right thing to do. Have that pure heart.